LEX 18 News.
After a stalemate on the Hill Tuesday, lawmakers are back for another round of voting for the next House Speaker. Plus, President Biden touches down in Israel to show his support in their war with Hamas. We'll show you why a pivotal meeting with the president of Palestine won't be happening after all. And we'll hear from members of a Kentucky church who were visiting Israel when war broke out in the country. LEX 18 News at noon starts now. Good afternoon. I'm Angie Bevan in today for Lee Searcy, who is on assignment. And we begin today with the breaking news in Washington, D.C. and a second day of voting to decide America's next House Speaker. Right now, let's take a live look. This is from the House floor right now as lawmakers are preparing for a second vote and trying to figure out who's going to replace former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Ohio Republican Jim Jordan was the leading candidate in that first vote. But 20 Republicans decided not to support him, so no one reached a majority, and Republicans were left trying to mend fences among the party. But some moderate Republicans and Democrats are insisting that the party look elsewhere and at more moderate candidates for their next leader.
Jim Jordan has talked about defunding the FBI. He's talked about some things that are fairly radical to most Americans, the folks in the middle who we need to win if we're going to win elections.
The idea that the Republicans kind of hit rock bottom and are nominating Jim Jordan for Speaker, I mean, Jesus Christ, Halloween's coming early.
We'll be following the vote count from Washington, and we'll be bringing you an update on those totals as soon as we get it. And turning now to Israel, President Biden arrived there this morning for a second visit to a war zone this year. He's expecting to hold key meetings in Tel Aviv, but a summit with Palestine was canceled after a bombing at a Gaza hospital. Bree Jackson is on Capitol Hill with details.
Come to Israel with a single message. You're not alone.
President Biden landing in Israel, an in-person sign of his administration's unwavering support for the country as its war with Hamas ramps up. The president's wartime trip includes talks with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. President Biden also sitting down with the Israeli War Cabinet to get a sense of Israel's war strategy.
Hamas is a different kind of enemy.
And meeting Israeli first responders and family members who have lost loved ones. Their historic meeting comes just one day after a deadly strike on this hospital in Gaza City. The violence derailing President Biden's plans. His visit to Jordan and a four-way summit there with Middle East leaders called off amid confusion over who is responsible for the blast. Officials in Israel and Gaza blame each other.
We, as Arab group, as you see all of us, united, outraged by this massacre that has taken place.
While in Tel Aviv, President Biden publicly sided with Israel, but did not go into details as to why.
Based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team. That I was shown by my defense team.
The Biden administration making it clear that the U.S. wants to see this conflict end and is also working to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. And President Biden is considering asking Congress to approve a $100 billion funding request that includes, among other things, defense aid for Israel and Ukraine. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
The State Department issued a new warning telling Americans to avoid traveling to Lebanon during the Israel-Hamas war. They raised the travel advisory for Lebanon to level 4, meaning do not travel due to what they are calling an unpredictable security situation. They say any Americans who choose to go there should know that the U.S. Embassy might not be able to help them. Many Americans found themselves stranded during the chaos of Hamas's attack on Israel and the tense few days after as Israel struck back. A group from a Bowling Green church made it back to the U.S. safely over the weekend. They tell Tucker Covey that they were lucky and they look forward to going back someday.
The church group from Broadway United Methodist Church in Bowling Green is safe back in the U.S. after having to find a way back due to the conflict in Israel.
We were a little bit close to Lebanon and sort of the northern border of Israel. And so we were able to kind of be in a safe spot and watch things and kind of see how it played out. And we felt pretty safe the whole time.
Even now, most of the fighting and conflict has been focused on Jerusalem and areas near or inside the Gaza Strip. The experience of Pastor Adam is echoed by his associate Pastor Lauren, who was also part of the trip.
It was this strange contrast for us. We knew it was happening, but we couldn't necessarily see it. And because we stayed busy, we weren't necessarily caught up in the 24-hour news cycle, watching everything happen in real time. And so it was just an interesting experience, because I feel like my family and my friends back here were far more anxious than we were.
In all, they claim that the group had a good time and that they never really felt especially unsafe, mostly because of the expert guides that they worked with throughout their trip.
I think we had just a tremendous group of people, and so we were able to really still have our trip in a lot of ways, still see a lot of things, and actually to see some things that we didn't expect to see. And pretty much everybody said they would go back, and they had a good experience.
That's Tucker Covey reporting. Well, officials across the country are warning of threats against Jewish, Muslim, and Arab communities as the war in the Middle East stretches on. Brian Todd is looking into a number of incidents already, including the murder of a Palestinian-American boy in Illinois.
The suspect in the stabbing death of 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy Wadia al-Fayumi in the Chicago area was smoldering with hatred toward Muslims, according to new court documents. They cite Wadia's mother telling authorities that just moments before the attack, Joseph Zuba approached her and said he was, quote, angry at her for what was going on in Jerusalem. The documents cite the suspect's wife as saying he, quote, listens to conservative talk radio on a regular basis and had been getting increasingly upset at events in the Middle East. Wadia's incredulous, heartbroken family addressed the hatred.
We are not animals. We are humans. We want people to see us as humans.
This comes as the FBI says it has seen an increase in threats inside the U.S. since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, threats targeting Jewish and Muslim citizens and institutions.
The emotional reaction to what is going on in Israel and Gaza is very, very strong. This is not just a news story for a lot of people. This is a story that they feel very strongly about emotionally.
Today, a sober warning from the Homeland Security Secretary.
We remain very concerned about the lone wolf, the individual incited to violence by an ideology of hate.
The FBI has just arrested this man, Jeffrey Hobgood of North Carolina, for sending threatening emails to a Jewish center in the Charlotte area. According to the FBI's criminal complaint, Hobgood said in the emails, quote, I am going to take every one of you out, using expletives saying, we are at war and your citizens started it. Guess who's going to finish it? This man, Carl Mintz, was arrested in recent days and charged with making threats of violence on social media against Palestinian Americans in Dearborn, Michigan, which has one of the largest Arab American communities in the U.S.
We know that dehumanization has a linkage to violence. It starts off with dehumanizing a group of people, then this otherizes them, and then it opens them up to a mob-like mentality of people to target.
Inside the U.S., experts say the threat from lone wolves to commit anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim violence is a threat that is notoriously tough to track.
Lone actors are very hard to detect, and they're also pretty hard to dissuade because typically they're acting by themselves. They're not part of a group that can be penetrated by law enforcement.
That was Brian Todd reporting. Police in New York City are taking extra precautions. The NYPD has called for all officers to report in full uniform until further notice. In a tweet, the police say that they don't have any specific credible threats within the city, but they're adding more uniformed officers at cultural sites and large gatherings to help keep people safe. The tweet also says officers in marked squad cars will have their turret lights on slow flash at all times. Well, there was an attempted attack in Germany overnight. This was the scene this morning in Berlin where someone threw a pair of Molotov cocktails at a synagogue. Police were guarding the building around 3 a.m. local time when a man approached them and threw the makeshift explosives. They burst on the sidewalk and did not do any damage to the synagogue. Several hours later, they say that another man ran toward the building shouting anti-Israeli slogans. He was also arrested. And turning now to our weather, it took a couple of days. We had to get through some rain and cold to get here, but we're looking at a pretty pleasant day ahead. Meteorologist Tom Ackerman joins us with your Storm Tracker forecast.
Yeah, that's right, Angie. It's nice to see the sunshine. What a welcome change. After a couple of dreary days, we've hit the middle of the week. The sun is shining and we are warming up. Now, it's going to be a brief interim as far as the pause goes between rounds of active weather, though. We've got the chance for rain as early as tomorrow. So get out and enjoy today. Your Max Track spinning through clear air. The Future Track shows clouds gathering back to the west, and you can even see a bit in the way of some shower activity way back towards Illinois by midnight. So there could be some showers around western Kentucky as early as tomorrow morning, but I think we have a better chance into the afternoon tomorrow, and then especially later in the day, overnight, and into early Friday morning. We're already in the upper 50s. You've got a nice southwest wind, and the sunshine makes a return midweek. And we're going to warm up to right around normal. Some upper 60s, probably near 70-degree highs for a number of folks. But rain is on the way, and we need it. We've still got that drought ongoing. We still need quite a bit of rain to make up our big-time deficits. We'll talk about all of that and how this is going to impact or possibly not impact the weekend in your LEX 18 Storm Tracker forecast.
All right, Tom, thank you. And now to an LEX 18 update here in Lexington. A man suspected of a deadly shooting has agreed to plead guilty nearly 2 years after the crime. Robert O'Corley was arrested last June for shooting back in November of 2021. Police say O'Corley shot Jesse Jimenez on Main Street during an argument with somebody else. He was originally facing several charges, including murder. Today, we learned O'Corley has agreed to plead guilty to lesser charges, including assault and manslaughter. He's facing a maximum sentence of 20 years, and his sentencing has been set for December. The coroner has provided an update on a deadly shooting downtown from this weekend. One man was shot to death on Race Street late Sunday night. The coroner says the victim's family originally gave him an alias, but they later learned the victim's birth name is Isad Perea Cortez. No arrest has been made in this case yet. A grand jury has added extra charges on Jamarcus Glover after he skipped out on a court date this month. Glover was at the center of a drug investigation which led police to search into the deadly shooting at Breonna Taylor's apartment back in 2020. He was arrested on drug trafficking charges late last month, then was released on bond, but he did not turn up for his court date in the case. The judge issued a bench warrant for his arrest, and a grand jury indicted him on new organized crime, drug trafficking, evidence tampering, and bail jumping charges this week. A man in western Kentucky is accused of cheating people with a pet cremation business. Jacob Jeton was arrested in May after investigators found decomposing animals in his vehicle. Police say he would charge owners for cremations but did not follow through with the service. The pets were later identified, properly cremated, and the remains were returned to their owners. Investigators say they're still working to find everyone that Jeton allegedly scammed. Jeton is currently in jail and is awaiting trial. He's charged with running a business without a license, theft by deception, and disorderly conduct. Still ahead, college sports was changed forever when NIL went live a couple of years ago. Lawmakers debated the pros and cons of student athletes making money and what the future could hold. We'll have that story up next after your Storm Tracker forecast. And taking a look at the lottery jackpots, Friday's Kentucky's Mega Millions jackpot amount is $91 million, and tonight's Kentucky Powerball jackpot amount is $49 million.
A Christian, conservative, and family man, Russell Coleman, the right choice for Attorney General. With a track record of fighting crime and serving his country, you can trust Russell Coleman to protect your family from crime and drugs.
You heard it was a hit. You heard it was a smash. A wonder. A phenomenon. An international sensation. But you haven't heard them.
Stop. November 5th. Tickets at NortonCenter.com.
I became a teacher because I believe in the possibility of our kids. Matt Bevin's attacks on teachers felt very personal, and Daniel Cameron stood with him against us. Cameron backed a dangerous voucher scheme like Bevin, trying to take taxpayer money out of public schools and give it to fancy private schools instead. Cameron following Bevin's policies just says where his heart is. Daniel Cameron cares about his political career instead of our students, and that's not the type of governor that we need.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden has a lot to thank Beshear for. Beshear pushed Biden's radical transgender agenda, even lied about sex change surgery for kids.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, fewer people are working than when he took office.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, nearly 2,000 criminals are back on the streets.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden and Beshear, thanks, but no thanks.
It's the annual enrollment period for Medicare Advantage plans, and you have a choice, which is why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help you get all the benefits you qualify for. Give us a call today at 800-608-1493 for a plan review with a licensed agent. We'll help you make the most of your budget. Ask about our $0 monthly premium plans that include dental, vision, and hearing, along with transportation, a gym membership, and $0 copays for prescriptions. We also have plans to help you pay for groceries, over-the-counter health items, and utilities like cell phone, all on a single prepaid MasterCard. Call Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield at 800-608-1493 for your Medicare Advantage plan review. Find a plan with all the benefits you're eligible for. We're here to help, so you never go it alone. That's our anthem.
Jonathan Shell, a farmer, fighter, and family man with the experience to lead. There's no quit in Jonathan Shell.
To stop Biden in safe Kentucky, Frankfort needs fighters who are tough as Shell. I'd be honored to have your vote.
The Kentucky Lottery, over $4.8 billion in grants and scholarships.
Well, weather-wise, a little tough start to the week, but things are changing today.
Yeah, it's nice to see that sunshine.
It is. We needed it.
I don't know if you've been following on social media at all, but we're getting a lot of beautiful pictures out of Red River Gorge.
The
leaves
colors
are starting to turn.
So nice.
Yeah,
around here even.
Yeah.
We just look out in our parking lot, and it looks really pretty.
Check this out. We got a tree right here at LEX 18, a little reddish hue there. So yeah, some of those trees turning, and some hints of fall, some signs of fall for sure in the air. And it's nice to have that sunshine and actually be able to see it instead of the oppressive cloud cover, and of course the cloud cover and the rain that we had the day before. So we've cleared all that out of here. We've got a pretty nice Wednesday underway, and the big picture, well, high pressure off to the southeast, and here comes what's going to mess all this up. But it's actually a good thing because we need some rain. It's a slow-moving frontal boundary that will gradually drop south. That swirl of low pressure up over the Great Lakes stays to our north. What we will see after a mostly sunny Wednesday is gradually increasing cloud cover Thursday. Some showers out across western Kentucky, gradually working their way in by Thursday afternoon, and some of these could be a little more robust. Some rumbles of thunder, some moderate to even pops of heavier rain there, and it could come in multiple waves. So we actually have a decent shot at getting some much-needed rainfall in here. This is going to make for a not-so-great Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and then as that front slowly works its way east, that's Friday morning, we'll have some wraparound showers, low clouds in the wake of that system. A little bit of a cool down, but not a tremendous one. But even into Friday afternoon, there will still be some hit-or-miss showers around. I think the majority of the activity though should be Friday morning, and then we'll try to clear things out for Saturday. So yeah, the weekend is not lost. That's some more good news there. Rainfall amounts will vary, and it'll be hit or miss, but in general, we're talking about a quarter to a half an inch rain out of this, which would be some nice numbers to work with, showing an even over 3/4 of an inch, near 1 inch total in spots. So there could be some isolated higher amounts. What's happening here is we've got this upper low that's rolling through the Great Lakes and this big trough digging in, but the cold isn't going to be quite as pronounced as it was last weekend when we spent days in the 50s. We'll spend a number of days in the 60s and then gradually recover. You notice that trough lifting out of here by the latter part of the weekend, and we'll start to warm things up and then just keep warming up towards the middle of next week. It's only 61 degrees now, or at least we're into the 60s, unlike the 50s earlier in the week, and we should get into the upper 60s near 70-degree highs. Our normal high is 68. Do the same thing tomorrow, and then there's that brief dip over the weekend in the wake of that departing system. Yeah, temperatures don't drop off all that much. And if we look at our departure from normal, we're still showing the anomalous warmth mainly locked up across the western U.S., but guess what it's doing? By late October, it's starting to move east. So there's the potential that we could see a pretty good warming trend just prior to Halloween. The big question mark is whether this, below normal temperatures that'll follow it up, the back and forth we see see typically this time of the year between the cold and warm air masses here, if that'll make a run at us closer to Halloween, because we're getting awfully close to the end of the month and we're still running pretty warm. And in fact, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, 24th through the 28th, still showing a big bubble of well above normal warmth here and those below normal temperatures back to the west. So today we're pretty close to normal. I think a lot of folks will be mid to upper 60s. We'll hope for 70. Either way, it's going to be a nice afternoon, mostly sunny and pleasant. 51 tonight. Clouds start to thicken up. Showers, even some thunder showers, most likely on and off through your Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and then tapering off to scattered showers Friday morning. So the good news for Saturday is the clouds will slowly break, and I think if we see anything, some early showers, those go by the wayside in a hurry. So Saturday afternoon, nice. Sunday, great. 70s potentially by the middle of next week.
All right, Tom, thank you. And now let's get to the latest on the United Auto Workers strike. New polling suggests that support for the walkout is growing across America. A new CNN poll conducted by SSRS shows Americans side about 3-1 with the union workers over their employers. Democrats, members of the union households, and self-described liberals showed the most support for the striking workers, according to that poll. 66% of all those polled said that elected officials should stay out of disputes between the companies and the labor unions. 34 days into the nationwide strike, the big three automakers are making several changes to try and keep their production lines running. Stellantis has canceled a scheduled appearance at the Consumer Technology Association show in Las Vegas next year. General Motors announced they are delaying big changes for an EV truck plant to 2025. While Ford has made a number of layoffs, they have not announced any plans to slow or stop construction on their new Hardin County battery plant. After more than a month of limited walkouts, the strike's economic impact has climbed to an estimated $8 billion. A lot has changed in college sports over the past few years, with athletes now allowed to earn money with their fame. The name, image, and likeness rules took center stage in the Senate on Tuesday as the NCAA suggested giving more money directly to athletes. Vanessa Miscagna has highlights from that hearing.
Welcome to all of our witnesses.
A panel of witnesses from NCAA President Charlie Baker to University of Florida gymnast Trinity Thomas testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee Wednesday about compensating college athletes for use of their names, images, and likenesses, or NIL.
We support codifying current regulatory guidance into law by granting student athletes special status that would affirm that they are not employees. And on this point, we're not alone.
Currently, the NCAA is at the center of an antitrust lawsuit that could force schools and conferences to share some of the billions they rake in from sports with college athletes. In other words, pay them like professional employees.
Not only is employment status complex, but is contrary to the educational model that has long flourished in American collegiate athletics.
That model includes a tradition of amateur sports within college athletics. Some witnesses warned of the impact of paying athletes as if they were employees, not students. They say doing that would hurt smaller sports programs, including Division II and III schools, which often lose money. Ramogi Huma, a longtime advocate for college athletes getting better benefits, said that the top players at the top schools should still receive a piece of the television pie, and new national NIL laws would grant that.
You know, the opposition, even employment status, all this is about, we don't want to pay them fairly.
Topics also touched upon today were setting nationwide health and safety standards for athletes and a fund that would cover health expenses stemming from injuries as a college athlete, even after graduation. Either way, there seems to be agreement that change is coming to college sports.
This committee and the Commerce Committee doesn't act in about a year, this thing is going to be an absolute mess, and you're going to destroy college athletics as we know it.
Vanessa Miscagna, Scripps News.
Coming up, we've got your pet of the day from the Lexington Humane Society. We're going to meet, as the name says, Big Roy up next.
Mom, are you ready to go to the store?
Almost.
What are you doing?
Since I've been in your commercials, I can't go anywhere without people asking for my autograph.
Really?
Go to GetTheTiger.com.
I usually vote Republican, but I'm also voting for Andy Beshear. I definitely feel that Kentucky's moving forward under Andy's leadership. He brings great ideals to the floor, and he's the guy that's been bringing the two parties together. Beshear's brought a lot of good jobs to the state of Kentucky. He makes sure that the police have everything they need to keep us safe. Andy cut the income tax. That's a big deal, huge deal. I voted for Trump because I felt he was putting the American people first. I'm going to support Andy because I do feel he's putting Kentucky first.
Hi, I'm BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home. Over the past couple of years, we've been able to distinguish ourselves as industry leaders in the home remodeling space due to our one-day installations. And today, I'm going to give you a glimpse into our process so you can understand why over 260,000 homeowners have trusted us with their home remodeling projects. Let's get into it. I truly believe the only way we're able to provide a consistent, exceptional experience is by using in-house employee installers. This means our installers only work for our company. The standard in our industry is for companies to hire subcontractors, but this can lead to missed expectations. And if anything were to go wrong, who do you talk to? The subcontractor or the company who hired them? This gets messy quick and can be frustrating for the homeowner. When you work with West Shore Home, the only people stopping out of your home for the installation are employees of our company. That means they work for us and only us every day. The second we hire a new installer, we send them to one of our dedicated training centers where they receive hands-on experience from industry experts. In total, they get over 80 hours of installation training. Next up is our installation process. During the installation, our crews take precautionary steps to make sure your home is protected. We put down drop cloths from the entry door to the workspace, and we make sure to treat your home like it's our own. At the end of the day, we're sweeping and vacuuming to make sure we're leaving your home in the same condition we found it. The final part of our process is a post-installation checklist. This ensures you're completely satisfied with the work before we leave. Having in-house employee installers allows us to deliver a consistent, repeatable experience to tens of thousands of homeowners each year. We hope you'll give us a call for your next home remodeling project.
West Shore Home is extending this offer for 1 week only. Call now to get 12 months of no payments and no interest financing, plus $1,500 off your shower or bath project. Call West Shore Home now.
So I dealt with several big firms before I called Steger, and I felt like they were in it just for the money. They didn't care about my entire situation or what I've been through. When I came to Kaufman & Steger, Jimmy and Tara would return my calls immediately.
The Big Blue Nation's official station is LEX 18. You're watching LEX 18 News at noon.
We are wrapping up LEX 18 News at noon with our Tates Creek Animal Hospital Pet of the Day. Hannah Farrell from the Lexington Humane Society joins us with a pup today who is not sitting on your lap like a lot of them we see. This is Big Roy.
Yes, for today I had to, sit in a pie and come way back so you guys can really see his true stature. But yes, this is Big Roy. He is a Great Dane mix. He is big. It is true. At his last weigh-in with us, he came in a little under 120 pounds. He did come in as a stray, so he's a little thin at the moment. He could actually use a few more pounds on him, but he is the definition of a gentle giant. He is so, so sweet. He's been with us since the beginning of the month. He is a very drooly boy, but he is so, so sweet. Would make anyone a great pet.
All right. Again, 1-year-old Great Dane mix. That is Big Roy. So, yeah, get that boy some treats. I bet he'll put that weight on pretty quickly if he needs it. You can find him at the Lexington Humane Society's main adoption center. Thanks for joining us.
LEX 18, streaming local news 24/7. Search for LEX 18 on your device.
Want a uniquely Honduran flavor? Mami Monchitas recommends the Calambre. Shock your taste buds with this enticing fusion of agave, red wine, gin, rum, and freshly squeezed lime juice to make the most dangerous drink in Honduras. Discover authentic Honduran cuisine at Mami Monchitas.
Rape, incest, they're some of the worst crimes imaginable. And politician Michael Adams wants to punish the victims. Adams opposes abortion exceptions for rape and incest. Adams even wants to restrict contraception. Buddy Wheatley spent his life protecting people. A fourth-generation firefighter and former Covington chief. Buddy will be a bipartisan Secretary of State. Vote Buddy Wheatley November 7th.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden has a lot to thank Beshear for. Beshear pushed Biden's radical transgender agenda, even lied about sex change surgery for kids.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, fewer people are working than when he took office.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, nearly 2,000 criminals are back on the streets.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden and Beshear, thanks, but no thanks.
Because I have both Medicaid and Medicare, I got a special Medicare Advantage plan from WellCare. It's called DSNP. That's DSNP. And it stands for Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. My grandson.
Hey, Grandma.
That's my boy. And WellCare DSNP comes with a whole lot of these. As in, WellCare gives me benefits I can use every day. And real human support. And answers I can understand. And this Medicare Advantage plan gives me choices with benefits I need. And I love that kind of flexibility. And I'm thinking, hey, WellCare understands me. That means a WellCare DSNP provides what I need when I need it. And that gives me the confidence I need to get through every day.
See if you qualify for more benefits.
Everclean clog-free gutters.
This is the most important investment you've ever made. And Everclean clog-free gutters are the best way to keep it safe.
We are really proud to offer the Everclean gutter system because we know that it protects people's homes. And that's true.
Strong, proven, permanent. Because the Everclean gutter system is a lifetime solution. It never fails. Call for your free estimate today.
Everclean clog-free gutters. Call 259-1133.
Is in Israel to meet with the prime minister as the country continues to fight with Gaza. The latest on the war, including an explosion at a hospital in Gaza. Meanwhile, in Lexington, Muslim communities gather in downtown to continue to advocate for justice and peace in the region. And superintendents from across central Kentucky held a training session for those aspiring to make it to the top of their education career.
Well, protests, confusion, and frustration continuing to grow across the region right now. The president in Tel Aviv and visiting with Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet, discussing the situation with Hamas, and then spending part of his day with some of the family members of victims of the attack at the music festival that set off this war, talking with family members of hostages and first responders to that attack. So some real raw emotion for the president and those family members as he continues his visit here. He had the meetings earlier. The meetings he won't have will be with any of the Arab allies here. That summit was canceled, as well as a trip to Jordan as a result of the explosion in Gaza, a period of mourning. We do know that the president plans to talk by phone with those leaders as he flies back to Washington. But again, there'll be no face-to-face meeting. What we don't know a lot about is another aspect of this trip. The president, the White House saying that they were going to push very hard to have some humanitarian aid brought in to those in Gaza, 2 million or so, who are right now caught in the middle of all of this and haven't seen food, water, medicine, fuel delivered for quite some time. There's been no indication that that's been a part of the discussion, though. The White House made it very clear early on that would be a primary tenet of the president's trip here. Now, that trip did change dramatically, as we've outlined here, while he was en route with that explosion at the hospital. To that, we know that Hamas continues to blame an Israeli airstrike for the explosion, while the Israelis say that a failed rocket launched by Islamic Jihad was the cause for the loss of life there. And to be clear, NBC News, no other agency can get in to verify any of this independently. We can't get into that area, so we're working off the reports from the different entities. That's the latest right now in an area that is clearly involved right now in rising tensions and rising concerns over the possibility of this conflict spreading. Jay Gray in Tel Aviv.
For the second time in 2 weeks, crowds gathered in downtown Lexington to voice their support of Palestinian civilians.
Violence is not the answer. Neither is complacency.
And to condemn the war overseas. Ahmed Shalish was one of about 200 outside the courthouse Tuesday.
Our primary goal is education, is for people to understand what's going on, what's the context of the situation, and specifically what Israel is doing to the Palestinians and how we as Americans are responsible for the U.S.'s aid to Israel.
After a 6-year-old Muslim boy in Illinois was killed over the weekend, Shalish says fears of Islamophobia are growing.
They're kind of painting us in a picture, and I think right now we're all fearful that people would act upon the picture that they're given by the media.
The fear of targeting is one that extends to both Muslim and Jewish communities in central Kentucky. But Lexington Rabbi David Wirtschafter told LEX 18 on Tuesday, there is room for unity.
We cannot allow the terrible situation in Israel and Gaza to become an excuse to turn on one another. We need to affirm one another's humanity, even in times of war and destruction.
As the war escalates, passionate pleas in support of citizens of Israel and Gaza continue right here in Kentucky. But both Wirtschafter and Shalish making it clear violence is not the answer.
Targeting Muslims or any group of people must be condemned in the strongest possible terms.
And we're here specifically to advocate for the freedom of the Palestinians, not necessarily what other people construe us as violent people or, I guess, inciting hate.
In Lexington, Andrew Lamparski, LEX 18 News.
Right now I'm here in front of the Central Kentucky Educational Cooperative, where a group of 22 educators from around the state are among the first to participate in a program that will help them in their goals to becoming superintendents. Educators from across the state met the Central Kentucky Educational Cooperative. The Kentucky Association of School Superintendents hosted its first leadership training for aspiring superintendents.
The idea is for them to prepare themselves to interview and land a superintendent's job at some point in the future.
These 22 educators will attend 4 in-person meetings covering topics from management to safety, health, and more. This group focused on servant leadership and learning to be authentic in their roles.
It's a great opportunity to build leadership capacity, learn about who I am and what I value.
These district leaders also got the chance to learn what challenges districts around the state face and how they can all collaborate.
You need to understand what other districts may be experiencing so that maybe you can get some ideas from them to take it to your district and to make your district better.
The group includes 3 people who were recipients of the Emmanuel Manny Kalk Fellowship. Dr. Kalk was a former Fayette County superintendent who passed away in 2020. The fellowship supports minority administrators who are looking to move into superintendent roles.
It's his legacy. He was an amazing person to dealing with growth of new leadership from all pathways. And to honor him in this way is really exciting and appropriate.
The blessing of it is giving minorities an opportunity to get insight and also build a foundation to be able to knock down doors and knock down walls to be able to be successful in that area.
Anyone who holds a superintendent certification can be a part of this course. This workshop hopes to go beyond basic job skills and teach things that can't always be learned in a classroom. They want to help train this group to be servant leaders for Kentucky schools.
We're in a new era for education post-pandemic. So what has changed in the job since before the pandemic to now that we can help fill those gaps with a program like this? So they walk in those jobs ready to go.
The educators participating here are looking to grow as leaders and as educators. And they say that they want to work together to create stronger Kentucky schools. I'm in Lexington, Rachel Richardson, LEX 18 News.
Well, for about 6 or 7 hours a day, April Littrell is responsible for about 24 5- and 6-year-olds. She's a kindergarten teacher in Lexington. But when she goes home, she has another task at hand, and that's at-home dialysis. She's in need of a new kidney, preferably from a living donor.
What other color did you want to be?
Inside any kindergarten class, there are so many questions.
Are you filming us to be on the news?
We are, but this story's focus doesn't really have to do with the 24 students in this classroom at Garrett Morgan Elementary.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's take a look at who the story is really about.
Why did you want to be number 6?
April Littrell has taught kindergarten here for 2 years. She's been an educator for far more than that. A dream long envisioned.
That's something I've always wanted to do, is be a teacher. Like, since I was little, that's what I've always wanted to do.
But this wasn't part of her plan.
I'm here from 1 to 5 right now in training.
Training to begin at-home dialysis. April needs a new kidney, preferably from a living donor.
So about 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with something called light chain deposition disease, and it has slowly basically killed my kidneys.
She'll soon begin this treatment at home.
Has this been a challenge to figure this all out, or is it easier than you expected?
The manuals, I guess, were easier than I expected, I guess, in some extent. There's a lot of buttons to be pushed.
But to April, it's all worth it.
I didn't want to give it up just for this. So, seeing my kids be successful and how much they grow and how much they learn and all of the things, that it's very rewarding to see that.
There are a lot of questions, but the most important is who can step up. If you want to find out whether you can be a match for April, we have information on our website, LEX18.com. In Lexington, Austin Pollack, LEX 18 News.
The Biden administration continues to pump hundreds of millions of dollars into initiatives that would boost rural access to high-speed internet. Those programs, though, often take time. Here in rural Michigan, one man has made it his mission to speed up the process. Life in places like this often moves at a different pace.
That's the old landline. See what it says right here?
And over the last 2 decades, Lon Nordine has learned the hard way. That means his internet speed moves far slower than he needs.
People need to work from rural spots because otherwise you're left out.
The 63-year-old lives in Freedom Township, Michigan. Population 1,497. A community so small that no major company would bring high-speed internet here. But that all changed early this month. You had no internet.
At this house we had zero. Right.
Yeah.
No internet.
So you finally have internet because of this effort?
Absolutely. No, it's fantastic.
Not because one company decided to do something, but one man.
They're boring away and getting ready to hook up to the conduit. So they're going 400 feet here underground.
Long before the pandemic, Jared Mausch was already working from home, but his internet could barely keep up. He was quoted $50,000 to expand high-speed internet to his rural home in Scioto Township, Michigan. You're talking some really boots on the ground, hard labor to get some of this stuff done.
Oh, absolutely. I've walked or will have walked every mile of this route multiple times.
Instead of paying up, he decided to pay it forward to his small town, creating his own fiber internet service provider.
You're out here with the cows, and the cows have good Wi-Fi.
We first met Mausch last year. His rural internet company had connected around 30 homes. That number has now swelled to 400. Customers only pay $79 a month for service. Mausch is part CEO, part construction worker. He does it all. How much does this continue to grow?
I think that's a good question. That's one that my wife and I are currently have some negotiations over.
Last month, the USDA announced they'd be awarding $700 million in loans and grants to boost rural connectivity. Mausch has been able to leverage some federal grants in the past and is hoping to do the same moving forward. Has this been rewarding?
Oh, absolutely.
42 million Americans still lack access to high-speed internet. Smaller internet service providers are helping bridge the digital divide. There are 1,410 smaller ISPs nationwide, connecting folks where companies like Comcast and AT&T won't go.
First First, they're pulling the wires through here and then pulling it that way.
In many cases, the impacts of high-speed internet can be life-changing.
I've had a couple people tell me that they're able to take on part-time employment.
But he's getting it done. And, we're ahead of many other groups because of his determination and spirit.
There are still plenty of things about the pace of life out here that move slowly, but internet speed is no longer one of them. Chris Conti, Scripps News, Freedom, Michigan.
Join us for an evening of smooth jazz featuring Jasmine Gent and Julian Vaughn, Saturday, November 25th. For more information, visit aafinc.com or call 859-255-2653. It's going to be all that jazz.
Rise and shine with morning news that'll positively make your day, helping you rise to every challenge and shining a light on what we all love about the bluegrass. LEX 18 News at sunrise, weekdays 4:30 to 7 a.m.
Welcome to New York, baby.
Next, Kelly, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's Muppets and Muscles.
Today at 2 on LEX 18.
I've signed 627 bipartisan bills into law. We cut the income tax by over 10%, legalized sports betting and medical cannabis, and capped the cost of insulin. We're getting things done. Let's keep it going.
I'm John Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call Pound Law from your cell phone. Morgan & Morgan. Pound Law. That's all.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden has a lot to thank Beshear for. Beshear pushed Biden's radical transgender agenda, even lied about sex change surgery for kids.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, fewer people are working than when he took office.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, nearly 2,000 criminals are back on the streets.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden and Beshear, thanks, but no thanks.
Purchase a new heating and cooling system from Comfort Heating and Air and enjoy your new system with payments as low as $132 a month. Plus, you may be eligible for up to $3,200 in tax credits. Call 859-266-3678 to schedule your appointment.
As Joe Biden destroys our economy, Andy Beshear defends him.
I don't want to be critical of what the president's doing, because at least he's trying. We at least ought to give the president some kudos.
And a big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
He's trying to help us.
Biden's bankrolling Beshear's re-election, funneling $250,000 in donations. Beshear and Biden, or Trump and Daniel Cameron. Trump's choice, our champion. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
I've worked in Kentucky most of my life, and there's more jobs here than I've ever seen. Governor Beshear has been great for business. The wages are up because the jobs are up. He's getting things done, and that's what matters. I'm a Republican. I did not support Andy Beshear the first time. He's got my vote this time around.
Sunshine makes a triumphant comeback midweek, and we've got a pretty good looking forecast through this afternoon, and then tomorrow it's good for different reasons. We're in the middle of a drought. We need some rain, and we actually have a decent rain chance coming our way. And the better news is most of it will go through before we hit the weekend. So here it comes. LEX 18 Storm Tracker Future Track shows by Thursday morning we get a line of gusty showers out across western Kentucky. And then as we get into the afternoon, some scattered showers over to a line of showers, possibly even some rumbles of thunder, some embedded thunderstorms within what could be multiple waves of showers and storms rolling through here. So the chance to get a decent shot of rain in what is essentially a moisture-starved Commonwealth out there. We've got moderate drought across much of the bluegrass running up into Indiana. It's going to turn the drought around by any stretch, but at least it's a chance for some rain. You notice Friday morning on the back end of that cold front, still some scattered showers, low clouds around. Now, I think the bulk of the precipitation will be Thursday into Thursday night, but you can still see some rainfall impacting at least the early part of the weekend Friday. And rainfall amounts are going to range anywhere between about, for most, 1/4 to 1/2 an inch, but we're showing some near 1 inch or at least 3/4 of an inch totals in spots. So depending on where you see some of those stronger showers, especially if you get multiple rounds, you could see some fairly helpful rainfall totals there. Here's that upper low, the cold air aloft pushing east, this big trough digging in. weekend. So we'll briefly cool down over the weekend. It's not going to be as pronounced a cool down as we just went through last weekend, but you'll feel it. We'll go from near 70 midweek to probably down the low 60s, where we bottom out low to mid 60s over the weekend. So yeah, not a huge drop. And we recover fairly quickly into early next week. High temperature trend, there you go. Our normal high is 68. We're going to be in the upper 60s, around 70 next couple of afternoons. That's even with that rain chance. That's ahead of that cold front coming in. On the back end of it, the temperature drops a bit. So we're back down to the low to mid 60s. So we never really stray that far from our normal high. So yeah, no big cold snaps or heat waves coming our way. Some fairly tranquil and typical temperatures for this time of the year. Conditions obviously a little more active with that rain chance coming in. But this is interesting. Our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook as we get nearer to the end of October. This bullseye of above normal temperatures, which was out west, has been slowly pushing east. So it looks like we could see a warm up just prior to Halloween. Now, the big question mark is whether or not that'll still be around as we actually hit Halloween at the very end of the month. We could swing back in the other direction, see a cool shot coming in. Still just a little too early to tell for sure. Today, pretty close to our normal high. I think a lot of folks will end up in the mid to upper 60s. I think we'll hit near 70, if not hitting actual 70-degree highs in spots as well. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to the low 50s. And the 8-day forecast shows the down and then the up that I'm talking about. Showers, some thunder showers Thursday. Rain lingering, mainly just scattered showers Friday, and a lot of that will be earlier in the day. And then we dry out. Saturday looks better. Sunday looks good. And then we warm up. Highs back in the 70s by the middle of next week.
Hi, Shane Huffman with the Neil Huffman Automotive Group, where currently we have hundreds of pre-owned vehicles, all aggressively priced, coming with our 3-year certified maintenance. You can visit us today at neilhuffman.com. Huffman has it.
President Donald Trump is endorsing Attorney General Daniel Cameron in his run for governor of Kentucky.
Mr. President, I hope you can tell that Kentucky is Trump country.
I'm the only candidate endorsed by President Trump and the only candidate who stood up to Joe Biden. I fought the Biden agenda in court to defend Kentucky. Andy Beshear, he never will. As governor, I'll put Kentucky first, even when it's hard.
We called because we wanted to remodel our master bathroom, do a stand-up shower. So we called, and the guy came out the very next day and quoted us. He gave us great options. You know, the price was so reasonable as far as all the finance options as well.
Yeah, so when the design consultant came and they brought us all the different options, it made it easier for us because we were able to see everything that would literally be in a showroom. So with the one-day installation, you know, I became a believer. I didn't know how they were going to do it. They showed up at 8 o'clock, maybe even earlier. By midday, we saw the tub being removed. And by the close of business that day, we had everything that we ever dreamed of within a shower.
It was cleaned up and everything was really done nice. The caulking was done like perfect. Like it was a really good job.
Yeah.
It's really convenient now just to have a low threshold to get into the shower and nice grab bars right there.
Yeah.
You know,
and it makes it feel modern.
Very modern.
Even for our mother, it's easier for her to get in and out now.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely a plus.
Yeah, with one-day installation I did not think that was possible to get a whole shower, you know, take out the old, put the new one in 8 hours was just...
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with how they did it and the quality. You know, for it being one-day installation.
The cleanup, not one mess left at all. I mean, he went over the instructions on how to clean it.
Right.
I love it. I can't wait to shower.
Yeah, me too.
West Shore Home is extending this offer for 1 week only. Call now to get 12 months of no payments and no interest financing, plus $1,500 off your shower or bath project. Call West Shore Home now.
Some people think that fighting like a girl means to give up easily. They haven't met this fighter yet, or any of the female injury lawyers at Morgan & Morgan.
Morgan & Morgan, the official law firm partner of UFC. Fighting is in our DNA.
The Kentucky Lottery, over $4.8 billion in grants and scholarships.
The Israel-Hamas
Hamas conflict is now the second war being regularly shared on social media, along with Ukraine. The images can be intense. Mental health experts say seeing the death and destruction people are going through overseas can leave us feeling helpless, sad, and angry. The first step to coping with those feelings is talking about them.
So I think just being able to normalize that experience and know that folks are not alone in that is really important. And to also highlight that even if we can't solve the whole problem, that doesn't mean that there's nothing that we can do to contribute to solutions.
Ariana Gallagher with Ohio State's Trauma Center says that can look different for everyone. It could mean sending a donation or just being kind to the people in your community. Another important thing to do is set limits on social media.
You know, obviously we want to stay informed about what's happening in our world, but that doesn't mean that we have to do it 24 hours a day. So being able to set some reasonable limits about how we're consuming information and how often we're seeking it out.
She says eating right and getting enough sleep is also important for our bodies to be able to regulate emotions. If anxiety from the wars overseas becomes overwhelming to the point it's interfering with daily life, Gallagher says consider seeking professional help.
Hi, I'm Mark Krish of Coit Cleaning and Restoration. Over 70 years ago, we pioneered the cleaning business. Today, we continue to deliver exceptional services guaranteed in writing. Right now, save 40%. Go online or call us today.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden has a lot to thank Beshear for. Beshear pushed Biden's radical transgender agenda, even lied about sex change surgery for kids.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, fewer people are working than when he took office.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Thanks to Beshear, nearly 2,000 criminals are back on the streets.
A big thanks also to Governor Andy Beshear.
Biden and Beshear, thanks, but no thanks.
Nice. DraftKings Sportsbook is live in Kentucky. You'll be so dialed into every play that you forget to eat your wings. You made my wings cold, DraftKings. Flailing your arms like you can disrupt the free throw. Miss, fool! And a home run will have you crying like it's the birth of your child. I'm so happy.
DraftKings Sportsbook is live in Kentucky. New customers, download the app now and bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Because life's more fun when you're in on the action. The crown is yours.
Yeah.
Rape, incest, they're some of the worst crimes imaginable. And politician Michael Adams wants to punish the victims. Adams opposes abortion exceptions for rape and incest. Adams even wants to restrict contraception. Buddy Wheatley spent his life protecting people. A fourth-generation firefighter and former Covington chief. Buddy will be a bipartisan Secretary of State. Vote Buddy Wheatley November 7th.
Download the free LEX 18 Storm Tracker weather app today.
Hi, I'm Mark Krish of Coit Cleaning and Restoration. Over 70 years ago, we pioneered the cleaning business. Today, we continue to deliver exceptional services guaranteed in writing. Right now, save 40%. Go online or call us today.
You are a government agent.
Area 51.
Seen any UFOs yet? Where are you, Ben?
Quantum Leap, tonight on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
Caterers made off with millions.
To catch them, we need to blend in.
You're talking about going undercover?
Yeah, there's us. And the best cook we know. Order up.
Seriously?
Magnum PI, tonight on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
Whose land is this? My land.
Martin Scorsese brings Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio together in Killers of the Flower Moon, based on a true story.
They outsmarted everybody. They have the say. Who gets the oil?
The film follows the murders of Osage tribe members in the 1920s, featuring the tribe's descendants prominently in the production.
Without them, you couldn't make the picture. I mean, you know, they were not only behind the camera, but in front of the camera, and both very often at the same time, back and forth.
The Osage, their time is over. We got to take back control of our home.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
The funny thing was that the families we're talking about in the movie, the people acting, the Osage acting in it, they're members of those families on both sides.
We have so many deaths we've lost count.
It's just bad luck. Seems more like an epidemic than bad luck to me.
They had to relearn the whole Osage language, what they did in the film, too. You know, they put it together. And now the younger people of the Osage are getting interested in their rituals. And so we think that somehow they're going back and finally reconstructing themselves, and maybe as an example, for other indigenous groups, too.
Osage is dying by the enemy. Do not let them die alone.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
LEX 18, streaming local news 24/7. Search for LEX 18 on your device.
I'm a native Kentuckian. What I love about Kentucky is its people. It's hardworking people. To hear Daniel Cameron say that he's going to take away health care from 95,000 Kentuckians, these are people with jobs, working parents. How does taking health care away make our state better? Cameron is just recycling old Matt Bevin policies. I don't think he understands me. Don't think he understands my family. A governor should look after people, not go after their health care. Daniel Cameron is just wrong for Kentucky.
Did you get a job yet?
Hey there, are you tired of mom hassling you to find a job? How'd you like to make a difference in another person's life? Join the team at the Fayette County Detention Center and jumpstart your career, starting pay at $50,000 a year, and get paid to train. Apply now for a $3,000 hiring incentive, full benefits including tuition reimbursement, overtime pay, and life insurance, as well as competitive promotion track and 5 weeks paid leave. Apply today at lexingtonky.gov/correctionsjobs.
As Joe Biden destroys our economy, Andy Bashir defends him.
I don't want to be critical of what the president's doing, because at least he's trying. We at least ought to give the president some kudos.
And a big thanks also to Governor Andy Bashir.
He's trying to help us.
Biden's bankrolling Bashir's re-election, funneling $250,000 in donations. Bashir and Biden, or Trump and Daniel Cameron. Trump's choice, our champion. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
It's the annual enrollment period for Medicare Advantage plans, and you have a choice, which is why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help you get all the benefits you qualify for. Call Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield at 1-800-878-5180 today for a Medicare Advantage plan checkup and make sure you have everything you qualify for in 2024. You can receive more benefits for a $0 monthly premium. Benefits like dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. And to help you stay healthy at home, you can have free prescription drug delivery, online doctor visits 24/7, and free exercise classes. You can even receive money towards over-the-counter health items. Call 1-800-878-5180 today. And feel confident you have all the benefits you deserve for 2024. You can receive benefits for a $0 monthly premium, like dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. So call Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield today at 1-800-878-5180. And make sure you're not missing out.
The Kelly Clarkson Show, weekdays at 2 on LEX 18.